Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, our souls, oh, arise.
Good morning, everybody. We are a little thin today. It looks like the rain kept some people away, but I'm awfully glad that you all are with us. I'm Jean Patterson, a member of All Souls, and whether you are here in the room or watching online, we're glad you're with us. Your presence enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. Wonderful. We know that your first time attending a church, you may want to keep a low profile and just kind of check things out quietly. Wonderful. We are glad you're here. And if you're a visitor and excited to be here, let us know who you are. Raise your hand. We invite you to raise your hand. Oh, yes, great. Thank you. Thank you for enriching all of us with your presence today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you're welcome here. You're invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. Another welcome. We have a musical guest today, and Anthony, would you introduce him, please?
When I read Reverend Erin's topic for today, and we discussed that this would be a question and answer and a improvisation service, I thought, well, how fun. Well, I'm going to invite my good friend Mark Kohick, and he's going to help us make up stuff. So we've got a couple of great tunes, including we're improvising on the interlude you'll see in your program. It says something else, and we're going to play Here's That Rainy Day because it seemed appropriate. So thank you and welcome, Mark.
I am the Reverend Erin Dajka Holley, the minister here at All Souls, and I am just back from 4 weeks of leave. While I was away, I attended my 25th high school reunion, learned a lot about penguins to teach people at the zoo and stay indoors where there's air conditioning. I went zip-lining, rode large roller coasters at Dollywood, and watched the Legends of the Sky Fringe show 3 times because my husband was in it, and thought deeply about this next year of transition here in the church. I'm feeling refreshed and also so glad to be back here with all of you. I've missed you. This morning, we are going to do something that I like to do once a year called Question Box. You should each have an index card and a pencil. On it, you may write, please, as legibly as you can, one question you'd like me to answer during this service. Now, you have from now until the offertory to write your question, because then you'll put your index card in the basket when the ushers pass it, along with whatever donation you want to make. And it's okay. I give you permission to not pay attention while you think about your question and write it down. Come into this space, the space in this room, the sacred space that we create online, and know that you are enough. Right now, right here, nothing else matters but the breath in your lungs and the knowing that we are together. We're all just making it up as we go along. None of us has a perfect master plan. None of us knows all of the answers. Today, we can be together. We can create, and we may see the perfection that is pure imperfection. Let us worship.
I was still writing my question, I'm sorry. Our chalice lighting is from the Oberlin UU Fellowship in Oberlin, Ohio. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. Now, please stand as you're able and join in the affirmation of our covenant, then remain standing as we join together in song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. See, you know it even without the words up there.
For all that is our gift, which we have come to you.
I just want to give a quick thank you to my spouse, Neil, who has stepped in last minute, as in there was a text message at 7:30 this morning to fill in for our normal sound person who is sick. So thank you so much, honey. I see that we have at least a few young people here. Would you like to come spend some time with me up front? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jude. Okay, so we have a lot of people here. Some are quite young, some are young at heart, and some have forgotten how to be young at heart. But all of my questions apply to everyone. Okay, I want a raise of hands. Have you ever played make-believe? Or maybe pretend? Yes! Now, when I was younger, and sometimes now, I loved playing make-believe. Like just pretending anything that my friends and I wanted to pretend. And I would tell completely made up weird stories with my toys. And you know what? There was no such thing as doing it right or doing it wrong or making it perfect. It was whatever it was. And it was good. And it was fun. So I want to hear from you. How do you play make-believe? What's your favorite way to play make-believe? Go ahead.
Doing a quest.
Oh, Jude likes to do a quest. Pretending to be animals. Oh, that's so much fun. Oh my gosh. I really want to pretend to be a penguin right now, but I'm going to sit here instead. Do you have any way that you like to play pretend you'd like to tell us? Okay. That is just fine. Are there any grown-ups that want to say how they like to play pretend? Woo! Amen. I'm right there with you, sister. Pretend to win the lottery. I think in our family we like to pretend that we could be retired. Yeah. To pretend to see with the eyes of a child. Yes, absolutely. Pretend like you're a time traveler. Yes. By the way, you should go to Glow Wild at the zoo in the fall because it's got a time travel theme. Just saying. Okay. Yeah. Play Dungeons and Dragons. That's an amazing way. My husband is with you too, so is Brian. Yes. All of those RPGs. Yeah. So, pretend to be a Ghostbuster! Yes! Love it. So we have some experience playing pretend here. And I want to tell you a secret that I learned from grown-ups who like to play make-believe in a way that's called improv. You can be a really good friend when you play with your friends by letting everyone pretend to be what they want to and how they want to. So like, if you're pretending to be the Hulk, and your friend starts pretending that they're a pretty princess, don't tell your friend that they have to be a Marvel character. Instead, think about what kind of adventures the Hulk can have with a pretty princess. And the people who perform improv call this yes and. Whatever the other person comes up with, they say yes, and then they take the story someplace new that accepts what the previous person had just done. And everybody has a lot more fun when we accept who everybody is and how they want to play. So I challenge all of us to bring the spirit of improv and yes and into all of the ways that we play and interact with people. Is that all right? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. We are going to sing you to go have your activities downstairs. And listen for any thunder for me. I want to hear about thunder because I like it. Hear some, Jude? Oh, good. Okay. Yay!
Go now in peace, may love guide all your ways. Beauty be the blessing of your nights
On Thursday, I was in the lobby, and Reverend Erin came up and asked if I could do the invitation to the offering, and I said, yes, and then promptly asked, what's the theme for Sunday? I invite you now to consider the theme of improvisation, not just as performance art, but as a guiding principle for life itself. In improv, there is a fundamental agreement, yes and. It's about building on what's given, embracing the unexpected, and co-creating something beautiful and meaningful together. It requires trust, vulnerability, and a willingness to step into the unknown. That sounds a lot like faith to me. The UU faith at its heart is an ongoing act of spiritual improvisation. We don't have a sacred text handed down through the generations. Instead, we listen, we explore, and we respond to the joys and concerns of those around us. So in the spirit of improv, we're going to play a little game. There's no preparation needed, just the willingness to be present and to build on what you are given. Each row on this side is a group, and each row on this side is a group. We're going to start with the person closest to the wall. I'm going to give you one word, and you're going to respond with one word to the person next to you till it gets to the inside. There's a few rows that are a little emptier. Improv and get yourself together in a group. That's your first thing. Okay. Are we ready? Everybody on the outside? So the word is community. So just turn to the person next to you and say the word that comes to mind when you hear the word community. And then pass the word down. So yes, and we're continuing the thought with one more word till it gets to the middle. Keep going till everybody in your group has built on the person before them. So from just a few simple words, a shared understanding, a little impromptu masterpiece has been created by just listening, accepting, and building. That is the magic of yes and. And just like in improv, every contribution, no matter how seemingly small, becomes a vital part of the final scene. Your offering isn't just about money, it's about investing in a future where love, justice, and connection flourish. It's about saying yes and to a world that desperately needs us to act on the principles of our faith. So as the baskets are passed, or as you consider your online contribution, I invite you to approach this act with the spirit of an improviser, with generosity, with trust, and with the joyful understanding that your gift is a vital part of the scene we are creating together. And remember to add your question to that basket too. So thank you for your presence, your participation, and your generosity. Let us continue to yes and to our shared mission, to the values, and to the unscripted journey we are on together. The offering will now be freely given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of our offerings. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Our first reading is called Life Tips from a Pottery Wheel by Tim Atkins. Over the past couple of years, what started off as a hobby has turned into a true spiritual practice: wheel-thrown pottery. I would love to tell you that I picked it up immediately, that I've become an expert potter with showcases and gallery openings and, okay, I can't stop laughing at that picture. In fact, I've had some pretty epic failures with my pottery. Almost everything comes off a little off-centered, and often my attempts on the wheel end up with a disaster of some sort. Just last month, when I was trimming a bowl, it flew off my wheel, smashed into another wheel, and the formerly not too bad bowl turned into something that more resembled a pancake. I laughed it off. When I was learning to make bowls, clay ended up coating my arms, cheeks, hair, everywhere, really. None of the bowls came out like bowls, and I left with a huge smile on my face, despite failure after failure. Because what have I learned? Far and away, the most important lesson pottery has taught me is not to be attached to the final product. There are lots of places in the process of making wheel-thrown pottery where something different than you expected can happen. You never know what the final product will look like after glazing until it comes out of the kiln. Every time I've put a piece into the kiln with a certain expectation of how it'll come out, I've been disappointed. When I don't care in the end how it looks, I end up pleasantly surprised. I can't be attached to those final outcomes. The process matters more than the product. The process matters more than the product. This is a universal truth in art and creativity, and it transcends every artistic medium, from architecture to YouTube videos. No matter what form, no matter what artistic medium you use, the process of making that art changes who you are as a person. How we're changed differs from person to person, but we are fundamentally changed by embracing our creativity, no matter what our creative outlet.
Our next reading is Stories in the Making by Emily Richards. A wooden footbridge with a railing on the right side, but not on the left. It leads into a forest with a mix of firs and leafy trees. Our viewpoint is as if we were standing on the bridge as it reaches the end of a small ravine. And we see the bridge continue as a boardwalk that disappears up into the woods. Some stories begin once upon a time or long, long ago, but other stories begin here and now. Those stories don't always have a clear direction. Sometimes they don't even have a clear beginning. What they do have is possibility. Those stories are still in the making, stories that have yet to be fully written, stories with potential to create change, for good or for ill. We won't know how the story ends until we get there. But we can decide what words we use to write those stories. Words like hope, kindness, gratitude, peace, courage, perseverance, joy, and love. Above all else, love.
Somebody folded me a little hat. Whomever you are, it is awesome. But it means that I haven't actually read it yet. It's so apropos that this got folded into a hat. How do you embrace whimsy and joy without feeling ashamed? I just want us to hold that for a second, because I think that says a lot less about who we are as people and a lot more about the expectations of society to conform. And whoever wrote this, I hope you don't feel ashamed. It's hard and takes personal courage. And for me, it's taken a lot of self-reflection. It took an autism diagnosis to be able to say, yep, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to be in the world. And, it was kind of scary coming here and being like, yeah, I'm autistic, and I'm going to wear my chucks, and I'm going to be silly with y'all. But I don't think I've ever felt ashamed of it, in all honesty. Sometimes I've tried to hide it, but not necessarily out of shame, but more out of being fully aware of the pain when you're judged poorly. So I hope whoever wrote this and folded me a hat, or possibly a boat, either way, that if you want to talk to me more about it, please do. Okay. By the way, last year I found 3 overarching themes, and this year it's a little bit more disjointed, so I'm just going to kind of go through cards more than I did last year. Is listening the best, most loving way to support a discouraged friend? Yes, and. The yes is that being seen for where you are is one of the most important things that we need as human beings. We need to feel seen, and we need to feel safe in who we are. So when we're feeling discouraged, I know that when I'm feeling discouraged, I sometimes have to ask my beloved to please stop and sit with me in being discouraged and not just try to fix my problems. And I hope he doesn't mind that I just said that. It's weird with him in the room sometimes. But acknowledging and sitting with those emotions for a bit is important. It's also really important for us to feel our emotions. So if you notice an emotion, my spiritual director always tells me to focus on it and feel it for 40 seconds, to just sit with it for 40 seconds. And that's long enough to actually feel it. And I notice that can help. But when it comes to helping a friend who's discouraged, listening is great. Checking in and being like, hey, what kind of help do you want? Do you want me to sit with you? Do you want me to distract you? Do you want to just be silly together? And sometimes you have to actually make suggestions on what could we do with this moment. But I know that it's a lot easier to help people if you just ask, hey, do you want me to do this to help? Do you want me to do this to help? Because sometimes people are in different places, and sometimes they just need you to sit and cry with them. And sometimes they are asking you to acknowledge that they're feeling discouraged and then go do something completely different. So that's what I would do. There are multiple questions asking about whether I am going to submit as an inside candidate toward being a called minister here. And I appreciate it. And I know that for many of you, that's coming from a hope that could be our future. And it could. I am still making decisions because everything's changing again, right? We have been sitting in this uncertainty and transition for 3 years. and with Kendall having fully retired, things are going to change. And I kind of want to see what they are. I want to see what the search committee is learning from you about who this congregation is. And just as much as that process is of you learning about who you are as a congregation right now, and not who you were as a congregation in 2021 and 2022 when you made the decision to hire a second minister, and empowered that search committee with what you were looking for at that time. It's been 3 years, a lot's happened. The world's a completely different place. And I want to make sure that who we are now is what shapes who your next minister is. And so I'm going to be seeing what things are like, and I'll be thinking about how do my skills and my interests and my energies match with where you see yourselves going. At the same time that you need to be thinking about where are we going and what skills and interests and energies are we looking for in our next settled minister. And I know that that's hard. Like, uncertainty is hard. My not being able to give you an answer right now is hard. And as I said in January, I'm not going to tell you whether or not I applied to the search committee. I'm either going to be your candidate or I'm not, because I want my time with you to be as productive and caring and loving as it possibly can be, whether that's through next June or that's through however many years. And I also want you to trust your search committee. And so there's a couple different places where there's decisions that are going to need to be made, and I don't necessarily want there to be someone you can blame for what feels like a breach of trust. Does that make sense? So that's why we're doing it that way. And we will see where it all ends up. And I'm sorry I can't be here and be like, yes, or be here and be like, yeah, no. Like, I don't know yet. I really don't know. I am in discernment. So I appreciate that. There are a bunch of questions about the current political situation and about how are we connected to it. This question is, how do we adjust to the current political values and morals in the nation? I would like to use the words of longtime predecessor that let's remain maladjusted. Let us remain maladjusted. We do not adjust to match what is happening in this country. I refuse to. I'm not going to. And I know that there's plenty of risk involved in that. But to maladjust ourselves, or to stay maladjusted, to not change our values, to not change who we are and the love that we embody in this world. I don't know what's popping, hon. Okay, nobody knows what's popping. I'm like, I don't think my hair is hitting it. So let's remain maladjusted. Let's remain maladjusted. And at the same time, I think the thing that we do need to adjust in ourselves is how we hold everything that's coming at us that feels like, and maybe in some ways is, an attack on our values. Because it's not going away anytime soon. And we have to be able to stay firm in supporting living out love in this country. And yet, it's an intentional onslaught every day. And some of that onslaught is to keep us on our toes that we don't know what to respond to and keep us responding to everything, even though some of it is really just there to distract us from, I don't know, Epstein. I don't know if anybody else reads Heather Cox Richardson, but she's pretty clear about that. So how do we take care of ourselves? And I think the first thing that we have to do
is give ourselves permission to not engage every day. We don't have to. I mean, I sometimes feel like I have to because, like, I'm the one that's at the pulpit. And in some ways, that's a good thing, and I will always check the headlines on Sunday morning in case something happened that we need to address that day. But we can also take a break. We can take a break from social media. I have set up my social media to mostly not trigger me, but at the same time, it sometimes does. They're trying to figure it out. Okay, we're gonna do that. Hun, if you want to turn off my mic and turn on this mic.
How's this? Okay. So yeah, don't let it take you too much. And that means not holding on to all of it. That means like choosing what area is most important to you and focusing on doing that and kind of letting somebody else worry about all the rest of it. Because there is no way a single human being can hold everything that is coming at us right now. And to expect ourselves to is to set ourselves up for failure, burnout, mental health problems. And we got to take care of ourselves. But I do want to challenge the congregation and its actions towards supporting democracy and its actions towards supporting people who are being actively harmed right now. And I acknowledge that there are people in this congregation who are being actively harmed right now. That we pick something. That we're going to have a number of people who are really engaged in partnering with other organizations, finding out from them how we can contribute to their work. I don't want to redo the work that's already being done in this community because there are some great people already doing it. And get involved in that way, but not spread ourselves super thin. That the power of our congregation is when all of us are behind a thing. And that doesn't have to be forever, but it can be right now. So that's something to kind of be thinking about. Is there something that we can be responding to as a congregation right now that we can come together, a bunch of us? And I know that a bunch of us are already working on hunger in a very real way. And I'm amazed by what y'all do. We can probably handle doing something else as well. So we can be thinking about what tangible things can All Souls be doing in the community that's just not too much, and that we can get everybody behind and not necessarily split our power. There's a related question. Do we need, it's a do you agree? We need to focus on saving democracy in order to be able to deal with all of these other issues of social justice and inclusiveness. Yes, and. Democracy is important. We can absolutely get behind democracy. And at the same time, we have to feed people because they don't have food. And at the same time, we have to defend the lives of people who are being targeted. We cannot say, okay, we're going to put all of our energy into democracy and then not serve the people who are here who need to be served. So it to me feels like a yes and. Okay, similar theme. How do you maintain empathy and respect for people you care about, but who have political, religious beliefs that you may think are harmful? I don't know. I mean, I keep myself in a bubble that I don't actually experience that a whole lot. That that is the really hard thing. And like everybody's asking that question right now. And I'm not sure that anybody has a fabulous answer. And part of that is just that we've stopped recognizing the things that we have in common. Something that I think about from the reading I've done on Christian nationalism is, one of the questions that they ask toward figuring out, seeing whether people are leaning towards Christian nationalist or towards anti-Christian nationalist is their response to the United States should be based on Christian values. And I think that people can answer that and not think that they're Christian nationalists. Because they may be thinking about Christian values that are universal values, that are values that we share. We have plenty of our Christian neighbors who believe in a lot of the same values that we do. And they do it through the lens of Christ. And that may not be the lens that we tend to use, but there are a lot of those values that we do share. And so I think the way that we can find common ground may not be on specific issues, but we can kind of talk about, well, what does it mean to love your neighbor? Who is our neighbor? We can ask questions about my brain's going somewhere else. We can ask, how do we feed everybody? Because these are quintessential human things. This is quintessential. What is it to be in relationship? And I'm sure that there are people among some Christian nationalists who are not going to find any common ground with us. But there are plenty of people who are leaning that way that will. And of course, when we talk about Christian nationalism, I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking about a very specific, narrow thing. Because, again, I have so many amazing mainline Protestant colleagues who are right with us in the way that we want to pursue justice. And I want us to never forget that. It's the reason that going to a UCC seminary was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, is that being raised in a church, a Unitarian Universalist church that leaned somewhat humanist in the Midwest, that had people kind of, not necessarily from the pulpit, but in relationship with adults, you kind of hear, well, the Christians are bad. I was raised with that being the unspoken but there message of what my church had to teach me. And so being in a space where most of the people I'm learning with, most of my professors are Christians, and finding that we agree on a lot. And there were things that I'm really jealous of my Christian colleagues for, like, the liturgical year. Monthly themes help. It's not the liturgical year. A question, how long does it take to become a member? Yay, somebody's interested in becoming a member. It doesn't have to take a terribly long time. So our process is that I would love for people who are interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism to come to the UU Basics class that's after the service roughly once a month, but I've taken a break for the summer. That's just a quick, seriously, less than an hour, but I can give you UU history in 10 minutes, kind of overview of who we are as a faith tradition. Mostly we just spend time where I say, what do you want to know? So that's step one. It's not necessarily required, but highly encouraged. Step two is to ideally attend a membership basics class, which I do only offer around every 3 months, because the more classes I offer, the less time I have to do with the rest of my job. And that class, and also just have kind of enough people to feel like a class. That class just kind of goes into what does membership mean? And why do we want to do this? And what do you expect to get from the church from being a member? And what does the church expect from you of being a member? And that is the absolute requirement. And if you can't make that, then you make an appointment with me and we talk about it one-on-one. And then you can apply to be a member. So you don't have to sit on it for a couple of years. Some people choose to. It's really, when are you ready to make a commitment that this is your spiritual home and that you want to contribute with your own energy, not just your money, toward this continuing and being what it is. So that's how long it takes. What are some examples of getting involved in social activism and community mutual aid at UU? While they're important, I am interested, especially outside of electoral politics. The easiest thing here is to get involved in our hunger outreach program. That is 100% the easiest thing to do, which means show up around 4 o'clock on Thursday and be ready to make sandwiches. That is the easiest in, and once you start showing up for those and you're interested in helping out with a different day, you're gonna know some people and you can work through what other ways that you can serve. But making sandwiches late Thursday afternoon, easiest possible way to get involved and start to get to know some of our folks and the folks that we partner with in that work. How much of a chance do I have to play cello? Not much. I'm trying to take care of myself, which means a lot of sleep, but I keep thinking about it. I've got a husband who keeps encouraging me, and there might be a music director here who wouldn't mind my, being more of a musician. We'll see. Someone's just very, very sweet, and so I will just share this in the context of this person is very sweet. They ask, do you know how beloved you are? Are you aware of the way you bring light and joy into our space? And to that, I will simply say thank you. If you could travel and back in time 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be? Hey, you're autistic. So somebody asked about my sabbatical experiences, and I did not take a sabbatical. My time away was not a sabbatical. I have not earned sabbatical. This was simply spending some of my vacation time and some of my study leave time in one go. I had not previously taken more than 2 weeks off at a time in doing this work with you, and I was really, really tired. Really tired, cusp of burnout tired. So I'm thrilled that I took more time, and in the future in my ministry, wherever that may be, I will continue to know that I need to take a chunk of time every year to take care of myself, because then I can come back and serve y'all better. That's really what that's about. Is that I got my head on straight again, and I'm not in this place of overwhelm. So, but I think a lot of the learning that did come out of my time away was really thinking more carefully about how I can support you in your work this year. That's really kind of where it is. How can I step back in a lot of ways and really make room for all your voices? Because this is your church. The church is not the minister, the church is the people. And I want to facilitate that as best I can. Another question with living with uncertainty. I'm working on it. I've gotten kind of good at it in the last 3 years, because let's all be honest, the last 3 years have been nothing but uncertainty. And I don't particularly like that. Did I mention I'm autistic? and yet somehow we are all still here. And I think that some of it is, and I'm going to talk about this more next week, to think about the moment, because so much of uncertainty is we don't know what's going to happen. So the more time that we spend right here, right now, and not trying to look forward and not looking back, the more we can get away from that sense of uncertainty, because I'm here and I am doing this right now. And I can be okay with being right here and doing this right now. So that's kind of what I have with that. This person also asks whether I like Taylor Swift. And the answer to that is that I don't listen to pop music. I tend to listen to the same radio dramas over and over again in my car. And I tend to use lo-fi beats while I'm working. So I think I've ever intentionally, knowing that I was listening to Taylor Swift, listened to like 2 songs. Like, I don't even listen to the radio. So that is my biggest apology to everyone who's interested in let's do all this forward music stuff at the church. It's like, I'm still listening to the same New Age CDs that I put onto my hard drive that I bought in the mid-90s. This is asking, when did you know you wanted to be a reverend and why? I was in college, and that was kind of a next logical step, was what it was, how I framed it at the time. At the time it was, okay, what am I going to do next, and what have I been doing? And I was weird for church the entire time growing up, super weird for church, as Kendall would like to put it. And I loved creating worship with my youth group. And when I was in college, the person who had been leading the UU group on campus, he had completely fizzled out. So he stepped back, and by my sophomore year, I was running it, which had me doing a little informal worship thing almost every Sunday for like the 2 people who might show up. And so as I noticed myself doing that, and then suddenly I'm like majoring in religious studies and spending time hanging out with chaplain's office folks, it's like, where's this going? And it's like, well, I feel like all of the cool kids that are also involved in the chaplain's office are in the pre-seminarian group. I kind of want to be like them. That was actually part of the thought. But as I went to seminary the first time and then burned out horribly, I really learned that my call was a lot more than that. That it's a deep love for Unitarian Universalism, and it's a deep love for church. And the moment that I really, really figured that out was my father's memorial service back in 2020. I was already serving a church at that time. And sitting in the sanctuary I grew up in, not leading worship, but sitting in the sanctuary I grew up in, I realized how safe I felt. And then that had me realize that growing up, church was my safe place. It was the place that the kids didn't always make fun of me. It was the place where I had adults who were interested in whatever it was I had to talk about and cared about me, and that's where I felt safe. And my ministry has been about creating that safety for everyone else that I can. That's really what it is. And I'm seeing the time, and we need to wrap this up so y'all can get some lunch. But there are more questions, and I will continue to ponder them for you. And feel free, I know that there's loveliness in the anonymity of putting down a question without your name. But if your question is something that you really want to talk to me about, reach out. Shoot me an email. We can sit down and talk about it. And I'm really curious to hear more from you about what your thoughts are, about what's worrying you, and to see what questions you have. So thank you for showing up today and listening to me make up answers. So let us sing Building a New Way together.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed our every need. Can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
Release this flame, but not the light of truth. The warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. These closing words are by the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, and the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.